Hello everyone, this is John from Coins, RPGs, and more, and today we are going to do a quick demonstration of a naval war game that is becoming my favorite. One of the reasons why it's becoming my favorite is because I can use it to play spaceship battles that have a more nautical theme. It's fast play. It is the Gridded Naval Wargame by Bob Cordery. Anyway, the rules we're going to be using are the Dreadnought rules within this book, where also I have pre-made or basically translated the rules into ship statistic cards. These were actually used in a previous battle where I fought the same battle with a friend of mine. And today I am going to test a critical damage table that I found on another website. And let's see how it goes. So the basic premise is that the battleship, this battleship, or dreadnought in this case, belongs to the Martian Defense Force and it is attempting to run the Earth Defense Force blockade that is currently surrounding Mars in an attempt to get out beyond the orbit of Mars and start doing some commerce raiding on the supply ships that travel between the asteroid belt and Earth and are currently supplying Earth's war machine. This is while Mars is fighting a revolution against Earth, trying to win their independence. So this ship's goal is to make it off of the other edge of the table. As long as it makes it off without being crippled, then that is a success. If it is crippled, then that is a failure on its part. And if it is destroyed, that's a major failure. The other ships, so we're also going to call this this dreadnought the Armstrong. And then we have a trio of ships on the Earth Defense Force's side. We have the armored cruiser, which we refer to as the Earth Defense Chicago is the name of the ship. Then we have a light cruiser that is going to be the Cleveland. And then we have a destroyer, which is going to be, it's going to be Devil's Berth. Berth, B-E-R-Th, as in a berth on a ship. All right. This will be the second time that I've done this particular scenario. The first time the battleship made it off just barely. This time I'm going to see if it's possible for these three ships to actually bring that battleship to its knees. Fun thing about this system is when you begin a round, everyone shoots. That's the start of the round. No one's in range, so we're immediately going to roll for initiative. For the Martian side, that's a 1. For the Earth side, that's a 2. So Mars moves first. The dreadnought has a movement of 2. So it's going to go forward 2 hexes. 1, 2. And that's it for its movement. The cruiser, the armored cruiser, has a movement of 3 hexes. It's going to move forward 3. 1, 2, 3. Notice there's no terrain this time. We're just testing the rules itself. Last time I used terrain, this time I'm going to try it without. We'll see how that goes. The light cruiser has a movement of 4. It's going to move 1, turn a single hex to the left, 2, 3, and 4. The destroyer also has a movement of 4. It is going to move 1, 2, 3, and 4. And that's the end of turn 1. Now we go into turn 2. Shooting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That is out of range of the battleship's Right. The battleship's main battery has a range of 8 hexes. So that ship's on a 9. These others are not any closer. It's not going to be able to range to anything this turn, I don't think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yes, no, nothing's in range this turn. Which means that these other ships are also not in range. So we go straight to initiative roll-off to see who moves first for turn 2. Mars, rolled a 5. Earth, also rolled a 5. We're going to roll that again. Mars, rolled a 2. Earth, rolled a 3. So Earth has 1 again, so Mars moves first. 1 and 2. Now it's Earth's turn, and Earth is going to move forward. 1, 2, 3. Okay. And then 1, 2, 3, 4 from the light cruiser. 1, 2, 3, 4 for the destroyer. The destroyer is going to try to see if it can manage to hit the battleship with its torpedoes next turn. We'll look that up. All right, that's the end of movement. So we go into turn 3. Turn 3, shooting. Shooting actually happens simultaneously, so no ship is ever not going to be able to shoot. Even if it's destroyed, it still fires all of its guns. 2 ships can sink each other in the same turn. I think that's cool. I like it a lot. Let's start with the Dreadnought. The Armstrong is going to try to sink the Cleveland because it sees the Cleveland as a direct threat right now. The Cleveland is 4 hexes ahead of the main battery. You fire main batteries first, and then you fire secondary batteries, but everyone fires the main batteries first. So 4 hexes away from the main battery, and the main battery is 8d6. Now, because the Cleveland is in the front arc, that means that we chop that in half. It becomes 4. And then we reduce that by -1 die for every, let's just demonstrate. Okay, so 8, chop it in half, it becomes 4 because it's only the forward guns, the forward turrets firing. And then -3 because there's 3 hexes, 1, 2, 3, between the ship and its target. So that's only 1 die is rolled. That's a 4. A 4 is a hit. So I'm going to get my handy dandy pencil. And mark off a single hit on the Cleveland. One. Okay. Now, let's go to the Chicago. The Chicago has a 6 hex range. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? And it's now a beam, which means that it gets to fire with its full 7 6-sided die, or 7d6. So, we do 1, 2, 3, 4 dice. 5, 6, and 7. The downside to firing a beam is instead of -1 die for every 2 hexes, it's -1 die for every hex. So there's 3 dice between, or 3 hexes between the ship and the target, which means that we subtract 3 from that, leaving us with 4. So the Chicago's guns are singing out. I rolled a 3, a 2, and 2 6s. Now that's kind of cool. 2 6s. That means we get to use this Naval Wargame's critical damage chart right off the bat. So normally in the base game, a 6 means it deals 2 hull points of damage, basically a double hit. This time we're going to actually roll to see what these hits have done. So it's a 2d6 roll on the table. That's 5 6. A 6 means a rudder hit. Roll another d6. Okay. So it cannot turn to port anymore. The ship has been hit. It cannot turn to port anymore for the rest of the game. That could actually be very bad for it if it gets stuck. It can't maneuver. Right now, it's not really trying to maneuver. It's just trying to go out. But then there's one more critical hit that came in. And that is a 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Propulsion. Lose 1 from the movement value. Okay, so the battleship has now been hit hard. Its movement of 2 is now down to 1, and it cannot turn to port. Oh, poop. This is bad already. And you know, it didn't. We're not listing. It doesn't list any other flotation point or hull hits. So I'm not quite sure what it wants me to do with that. Let's assume that it still is losing the 4 hull points that it would normally lose, because that makes sense to me. So 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, and that's out of its total of 30. Okay. Main armament from the light cruiser, from the Cleveland. Let's see what the Cleveland can manage. Cleveland has a range. Its main battery is 6-inch guns, or 6-inch lasers in our case, and that's 4 hexes. 1, 2, 3, 4. And there's 5d6. It is firing forward, so it cannot. Excuse me. It cannot. It subtracts that in half. So 5d6, 5.5 brings us to 3d6, and then minus 1. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Actually, that's what should be. Yeah. I'm going to say that's just a minus 1 again. So 2 dice get to make the roll. Get these old dice out of there. All right, a 4 and a 5. Those are both hits, but they are not criticals. So 1, 2. So 6 damage has been dealt just now. The destroyer, its guns only have a range of 4 hexes. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, they're out of range. So it doesn't get to fire its main battery. It has no secondary battery, but the other ships do. So let's get to secondary batteries. The Dreadnought now fires a secondary battery, and the secondary battery has a 4 hex range, and it's 5d6. Now the secondary battery is going to fire at the Chicago. 1, 2, 3, 4. It is 5d6. So let's do 5. All right. And then that's minus 3. So 2 dice. Oops. 2 dice against the Chicago. That's a 5 and a 2. So 1 damage to the Chicago. Okay. Chicago's secondary batteries are going to fire back. They are 6-inch lasers. They have a range of 4. They are 5d6. So really that's pretty much the same. It's going to be 2 dice. That's a 5. So that's 1 standard hit. All right. Secondaries for the light cruiser. It's a 4 hex range, 5d6. Let's see, we're going to divide that in half because they're facing forward towards each other. Brings us to 3, and then minus 1. That brings us to 2 dice, rolling. Bam! 2 1s. Nothing, nada. No, complete, utter failure. All right, cool. Now we move to torpedoes. Now, the torpedoes are kind of fun. So, the destroyer has 2 trainable torpedo tubes and a magazine of 6. So the destroyer is really the only one that's going to get to use torpedoes, I think. Yes, the light cruiser's torpedo tubes are to the port and starboard. Oh, the cruiser has a bow torpedo tube, but otherwise it's port and starboard. And unless they specifically say trainable, they are fixed, which means that this light cruiser cannot fire a torpedo in that direction. It can only fire in this one direction using these hopscotching hexes. So what are the range on torpedoes? I did not write that down. I should have. Okay. Range of 4 hexes, and they all do 4d6 dice of damage, regardless of the number of hexes between them and the target. But there's more than 4 hexes between 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 between the destroyer and the battleship. So they don't actually get to make their shot this turn. All right, that makes it the end of a shooting phase here. And now we're going to go straight to roll off for movement. Mars. A 3. Earth. A 1. Earth must go first this time. So that's 1, 2, 3. Chicago is closing in, trying to get in a better range with its guns now that it sees that the cruiser is hurt. Or sorry, that the dreadnought is hurt. 1, 2, 3, 4. One, 2, 3, 4. And the battleship, its movement, it can only do 1. All right. Now we go into the next turn. I believe this is turn 4. And let's do shooting. So the battleship is going to try to start this round off with the shooting. It's going to attempt to take out the destroyer before the destroyer can launch its torpedoes. So its main battery is going to lock onto the destroyer. That's 8 hex range, 8d6. There are 1, 2 hexes between it and the target at this point. So that is going to be 6d6. Okay, that's 3 and a 3 are both fails, but that leaves us with 2 5s and 2 6s. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 points of damage on the destroyer and 2 criticals. Now the destroyer has a hull of 6. So actually, the criticals that we got don't matter because that hull just went down to 0. And that is the end of the destroyer. Just going to turn it over. But it's still going to get to fire its guns and missiles this turn. And in fact, let's do that right now. Let's do its main battery. It's 4 hex range, so it's in range. Excuse me, 5d6. One, two, three, four, 5. And that's going to be -2, leaving us with 3. That's a 4, a 5, and a 1, so it's going to be 2 damage to the Dreadnought, to the Armstrong. Okay, the Armstrong has taken 9 points of damage out of 30. Next, we're going to do the main battery of the Chicago. Almost called it Cleveland. That's not Cleveland. The Chicago is going to try to take this down with its guns. Now, this is still within the forward arc of the Chicago. 1, 2, 3 right there. So, because it's forward of Chicago, we're still dividing everything by halves. So we look at 76. And then we take away half, leaving us with 4. And it's forward, so it's technically 1, 2, so just -1. So that's 3 dice. And that's going to be 1 hit, no criticals. All right, we're a third of the way there. Ship's taking some major damage. Now let's do the primary batteries of that light cruiser of the Cleveland. And the Cleveland is going to, it is actually having to fire ahead of its head because it is not a beam. And so that is 5d6. Ahead halves it to 3d6. And then there's 1 hex between them, so that brings it to 2. That is a 1 hit, no criticals. There was a 4. Okay. All right. Then we go on to torpedoes. The Armstrong here actually has torpedo tubes on both sides, and we have got to do secondaries. I'm sorry, I haven't done secondaries. So secondary batteries. The Armstrong secondary batteries are going to attempt to take out the Chicago, or at least damage it before it can fire. That brings us to 5d6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that's -2 dice, so firing with 3. That is 1 critical hit and 1 normal hit. So let's roll for the critical. That's a 10, which means that the Chicago also loses 1 point from its propulsion. Its movement is now down from 3 to 2. And it has taken 3 points of damage on top of what it's already taken, for a grand total of 4. Okay, it's going to return fire with its secondary batteries. The ship is ahead of it, so those are going to be divided by half. And then another -1, so that's 2 dice. 2 3s, no hits. All right, and then the secondaries for the light cruiser. That's also going to end up being 2 dice because it's all the same calculations. They're all secondary armaments are all the 6-inch guns. That is a 6 and a 3. So what is that critical now? Let's do this right. 3, 4. It's a hull hit, so it just takes the 2 flotation points of damage. Okay, now we move to torpedoes. The Armstrong is going to try to shoot the Chicago with his torpedoes. 1, 2, 3, they're in range. They are 4d6, no matter what the range is. So let's see if that one torpedo is going to hit and do something. 3, 2, 2, and 4. 1 damage. So the Chicago loses 1 health. It has lost 5 of its total of 12. Okay. Next, for torpedoes, we're going to go to the Chicago. The Chicago does not have any torpedo tubes that can range. And neither does the Cleveland. So that's the end of shooting. Now we go to moving. Mars for initiative rolls a 5. Earth for initiative rolls a 2. Earth has to move first. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. And now it is Mars's turn to move. 1. All right. So, on to the next turn. This will be the last turn that we'll run through for this game. But on to the next turn. They're going to try to shoot the light cruiser and get it out of this game. So we got 8. Divided by 2 equals 4. And then just minus 1. 3 dice. 1 hit. Light cruiser's taken a total of 2 points of damage out of its current total of 10. So, primary armaments from the other 2 ships. We are looking at the Chicago is going to attempt to fire. It is a beam. Its target is 2 hexes away. So we're going to start with 7d6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then minus 2. So that's 5 dice. We've got 1, 2 regular hits and 2 criticals. All right. First critical. 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, that is a gunfire control hit. Minus 1 die to main armament. So now that 8d6 for the battleship becomes a 7d6 for any subsequent shooting. Excuse me. And oh yeah, the other one. 6. A rudder hit. 1. It already was hit to. It already can't turn to starboard, so we're going to roll again. 5. Now it cannot turn at all. Okay. So it took 5 points of damage, and it can no longer turn, and its armament is reduced by 1 die. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's lost 15, 16, 17, 18 of its 30 points. When it is reduced to 7 points, it must retreat. That's primary armaments. Let's go to secondaries. Secondary armament is 5d6. It's going to also fire that at the light cruiser. And that's going to bring it reduced to half for 3, and then reduce to, so that's 2. No hits. All right, Cruiser's secondary armament. We've got 5d6, and then reduced by 2, so 3. And that's 1 critical, no other damage. That's a 4. So that's hull points. So it loses a total of 2 more hull points. For a grand total of -20. It -20 and it cannot turn. This is bad. This is very, very bad for the battleship. It looks like it's not going to make it. But that's the end of this turn for. That's the end of this. That's the end of that. So now we go to. Oh, the light cruiser still has to fire its secondaries. Sorry, the light cruiser also has 5d6. But that's only a -1. So there's 4 dice coming in. That's 1, 2, 3 points of damage and a critical. So a total of 5 points of damage. And what's this critical? 4, 5, 6, 7. It loses another die off of its guns, so its main armament is now gone from 8d6 to 6d6. It cannot move, and it's lost another 5 points, bringing it below its critical level. This means that it must retreat from battle at this point in time. And then we do torpedoes. In this case, the cruiser can fire a torpedo into the dreadnought, and it will do so. 4d6. It's definitely within the 4 hex range. 1 more hit. So it's a total of 6 more damage this turn. Uh, 10, 15, 20, 25, 26. Battleship only has 4 points of life left to it. It cannot be hit by any other torpedoes. It cannot fire torpedoes at anyone else. That's the end of that shooting phase. Now we go to the movement phase. But at this point, the battleship, it cannot turn. It's getting pounded to pieces. And these ships are still maneuverable. For the purpose of ending this video, not having to go too long, we'll say that the ship strikes its colors. Well, the ship's going to continue. No, it's not going to strike its colors. I'm sorry, that's not right. But it's going to keep trying to move forward because it can't turn back at this point in time. But these other two ships, they're going to be able to surround it. And they're going to be able to destroy it within the next round because it only has 4 health left and they can dish out the hurt. So, that's Gridded Naval Wargame in a nutshell. I like this damage table. I thought that added some really interesting elements to the game. I'm going to continue on using it. I will post a link to the blog and the author who wrote this thing in the video below, in the description of the video, and you can go ahead and download it yourself if you want to use that in your own games. I apologize, I just can't remember the gentleman's name, but I will give him credit in the description. I hope you all have a wonderful day. Thank you for stopping by. Peace be with you.